Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. My name is Reg Smith and I'm the MC for today's meeting of the Rotary Club of Melbourne. Please note that everyone's microphone except those required to speak has been muted, but we can take questions and comments through the chat function, which is available on the application. You can submit these throughout the presentation. I hope everyone has their glasses or other vessels charged, and thanks today will be given by past President Peter Dakin, after which the loyal toast will be presented by President Kevin. Peter.
Many thanks, Reg, and good afternoon, Rotarians and guests and Rotarians from other clubs, and of course all my fellow Demon supporters. Always nice to be in your presence. Our club office bearers, and in particular Manager Joe, are to be applauded for their wonderful commitment in terms of member engagement and digital initiatives to avoid social isolation at this incredible time in our history. President Kevin's email message yesterday was inspirational, providing positive motivation for us all. The fabric of our club and Rotary as a whole has been tested for a number of years with declining memberships, and it is critical that we try and arrest this decline. How often have we heard that I'm too busy to be involved with Rotary? This response has generally been driven by the expectations of businesses, employers, and financial reward. We've all had time to reflect over recent weeks, and in particular Easter, on our true family and social values and engagement with friends and loved ones. I feel there will be a fantastic opportunity going forward for our club to maintain and build our membership, providing options in terms of luncheon attendance at the Sofitel and or a virtual weekly lunch. The Rotary Club of Melbourne Corona Fighting Fund is an excellent initiative, and the concept of donating an amount for lunch that suits an individual's financial position may have great appeal in the future and help encourage membership retention. Thank you. I'll now pass over to President Kevin for the loyal toast.
Thank you, Peter, and to Rotarians, guests and visiting Rotarians, I give you a toast to Australia and Rotary International.
Australia and Rotary International.
Rotary International. Indeed. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to our 38th meeting of the Rotary year, our 4,838th meeting of our club, and our 5th online meeting in this, our 99-year history. As Peter said, embracing technology brings us all together. And today we, as broadcasting from various locations, a reminder that during the presentation, questions to the speaker can be typed in the chat section, and MC Reg will organise the questions at the end. We'll also be taping the meeting. It'll be podcast via our club website in a day or so, as our previous 4 meetings have been similarly podcast. You would remember that our first online meeting featured our honorary member, Professor Peter Doherty, and it's just amazing how he has been sought after, interviewed, quoted. The Doherty Institute has been quoted as clearly one of the leading facilities in the chase for a vaccine. I'm delighted to see online today District Governor-elect at 9820, Mark Humphreys, and his district last night led a terrific podcast meeting featuring Minister Hunt, Greg Hunt, who spoke freely and openly for some considerable period of time to members online, and I trust that that will also be available for podcasts. Our guest speaker today is District Governor-elect Philip Archer, speaking on the road ahead, Can Rotary emerge stronger from COVID-19? Yes, we can, says Philip. Please join me in welcoming Philip at this stage of the meeting.
Thank you.
Also waiting online to present to us, we have past President Philip Endersby. Philip, of course, is famous for being the production manager of our now Rotary 100 socks. And he is today greeting us in his capacity as captain of groups, having launched an initiative rolled out with our group captains to make sure that we are all connected and that we can offer member care to any member from within our ranks. Philip, delighted to have you online, and over to you to give us an update on the Member Care Initiative. Thank you, Philip.
Well, thank you very much, President Kevin, and what a delight to sort of have so many coming online today. I think it's a remarkable achievement for the club. So let's start thinking about, I guess, our club groups and me as group captain, and given the changing circumstances happening, what's it all about? And I look back and I can remember a couple of weeks ago when Hugh Bucknell addressed the club. And at that lunch, there was a line that Hugh put in there, which was never waste a crisis. And this is a comment that often comes, and I've heard from those who are involved in stockbroking. But it does make one sort of sit back and say, you know, what are the issues? And what are these negatives that we now find in this rapidly changing world? And how best can we at the Rotary Club turn this into positive opportunities for us and our members? And as I was sort of working through things, I came across a quote from Winston Churchill, which I thought was a wonderful remark at the time. And he said, "A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty." And I guess that's where we are now. And so as your group or captain of groups, and just for those who are sort of new to our club for our meeting, just so that you know, we've broken our club with all of our members, and let's say we're running at 250, 240. We have 10 groups, what we call, and these are suburban-based groups that we've broken up all around our precinct, if you like. And whilst I was chatting with President Kevin a little while back, we felt that this pandemic and the changes that it has made to our lives does provide the catalyst for us to really think about how our groups within our club are operating, how they could be operating, and how best we can help them make changes whilst we ensure the club members stay focused, that all members feel engaged, and most importantly, we address any of their needs. Now here we're just not talking about committee meetings, because we wanted to have a real focus on our members and how they are coping. And to this end, Kevin said, let's call it member care. So I hand that to Kevin. Member care is what we're working on. And I guess, what does this mean? In the sense that we wanted to make sure that our members, through their group captains, are working together such that the group captains are making that direct personal contact to everyone in their group and ascertaining how are they coping. Can you handle your bills okay? Have you got a computer? Do you know how to get onto Zoom for whether it be club meetings or group meetings or whatever? Can you get to the shops okay? Have you had your flu shot? Is there anything you need, and is there anything we can do for you? For some, this is all fairly basic, but we do have a number of members that, as we sort of work through this process, who would like to have a hand. But unless we make that direct personal contact, you never really find these things out. And that's why now, with working our groups properly, we can get right down and close to our members. Obviously, with some of the smaller clubs, it's par for the course. But for a large club like us, we have to sort of really make sure we drill down on it. And as we progress down this road, I mean, I say to myself, this is probably going to be normal for the next 6 months. I can see that the groups will start having their regular meetings by Zoom, and they'll probably be doing it once a month. It'll probably be midweek. It'll probably be about 8 p.m. They'll probably have a glass of wine in their hand or a glass of scotch, and first and foremost, they'll find out how everyone is going. And they'll get on to news and views, and obviously one would hope that they will address some Rotary matters as they go through the course of their meeting. So these are not easy times, but we can make them so much better by just staying in contact with one another, and how better than through our groups. We'll now move on to Philip Archer, but as I say to myself, and as I've said to all of the captains of the groups, that as we prepare for our 100th anniversary of Rotary in Australia, it does mean that 2021 will be a big year. And I do expect that through the group captains that we'll start mapping out what are the activities that we're going to have in 2021, and try and make a focus in each month in 2021 of something that as a group you can all do together. So yes, as much as I read out what Winston Churchill had to say, I am an optimist. I think this is a great opportunity for us to work closer and get a better handle on all of our individual members, understand their needs, and help one another move forward. Thank you very much, Kevin, for the opportunity. I leave it to the group. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Phil. And as we were talking offline, it's delightful news to know that everyone is well. And I guess that's the question we always ask our friends and neighbours and relatives and our Rotary colleagues. I'm indebted to the group captains, Kelton Dennis, Bill Pickett, Iqbal Rata, David Hayes, Doug Marshall, Sharon Johnson, Margaret Matters, Ken Willard, Chris Wang, and Chris Rod for their work, and you, of course, in leadership role. It's a most important time to look after the welfare of all members, and I know that there's been some work behind the scenes done to ensure that David Fries is online today. Tony Kostke is also online, but he was online the other week as well, so Vicky's working that well, and good to know you're both enjoying the meetings. I believe Peter McCall's online. He's a whiz at technology anyway. And I believe David Jones is online. We also have the facility to be able to phone in for those members who otherwise are not using a computer or an iPad. So that is a terrific initiative, and it'll keep rolling out as we move forward. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Philip Archer. I can say that for the last couple of years that we've been talking with Philip, and we've been on our soapbox about the forthcoming centenary, R100, I can say proudly, Philip gets it. He knows that it's an important milestone in the history of Rotary in Australia and New Zealand. Phil Ender's been made mention of it in his wrap-up, and certainly in discussions with Philip Archer, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that light will help us because we'll be looking at 2021, the centenary year, to give us a renewed focus on Rotary. Philip is the District Governor-elect for our District 9800. He's been involved in Rotary in so many ways, and currently External Relations Director for Rotary International in our district. He's the Director of Rotary Foundation Australia and Chair of our district's Homeless Initiative. Philip, in a professional sense, is the Managing Director of the Archway Group, a privately owned boutique recruitment and human resources consultancy firm. And I can assure you, in the work that Hugh Bucknell has been doing, leading the R100 team, which embraces not only our club, but other clubs as well, of course, with our 4 Centurion clubs being Melbourne, Sydney, Wellington and Auckland. Philip has been front and centre of the initiative and a lot of the work that is being done to roll out projects all around the nation and to give every club the opportunity to be part of the R100 Honour Board. I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to introduce Philip today. Thank you for being available, and we look forward to your address. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Kevin. Rotarians, thank you for being here. I just wanted to acknowledge Phil Endersby's work and the team of captains for reaching out to your members and caring about people within your club. Congratulations. I think you need to really be supported with that, and certainly from a district point of view, we'd encourage that we keep doing as much as we can for our members. Over the last few months, I've been asked numerous times, how are we going to come out of COVID-19? Can Rotary emerge from this, or will we lose members? I've seen this as an opportunity, and I'm really very, very pleased to tell you that our current DG, Grant Hocking, and his leadership group have done an amazing job getting clubs to stay connected. Grant's led that initiative directly himself, and with the support particularly of the AGs and the club presidents, we now can tell you that only 4 clubs in our district are not meeting on Zoom. So from 0 to just having 4 clubs not meeting on Zoom, I think that's an incredible situation that we find ourselves in. I'd like you to give yourselves a round of applause, all of you. So why is that so important? I think if we just went into hibernation for 3 months and didn't connect with our friends in Rotary, then yes, we'd have a problem. So Grant and the team have really done a great job in getting subject matter experts to help clubs get onto Zoom and stay connected. And I've got to tell you, we're seeing some amazing results coming through. Your club, Melbourne, has done a terrific job in leading the way with the connections and contacting members and being in touch with all of your friends. So that could be a lighthouse for us all. And some of the work that you've done and that has been spoken about today certainly is a lighthouse for us all. But what can we do to come through this? I've had people come to me and say, can we do something about our fee structure? And the answer is yes, we can. I've had a team, including past district governors, Dennis Shaw, Peter Frew, and Neville John, work on the district dues, and we're looking at putting something to the board, the district board next week. So we'll be in contact with the presidents-elect and the secretaries. Our treasurer, Melissa McIntosh, has been working with Arthur Hubbard, the current treasurer, with that group of 3, and they've come up with some amazing solutions that will see us be able to afford to give our members some sort of a benefit because of the environment that we're in. Why are we doing this? We're doing it because we all know that the world is upside down. It's a wicked problem, as I put it to Dennis Shaw. A lot of us, if we're retired, we're seeing our superannuation and our share portfolios go slightly south and up north, and then down south and up north again, and we're worried. If we're in business, we're seeing a lot of hurt, and we haven't seen the start of it yet. We've certainly seen the epidemic cause a lot of grief, but what we'll see coming through and emerging very quickly is the catastrophe that businesses and employers are in. Along with that, if you're an employee, you must have been impacted in some way. A lot of us have found our jobs to have dwindled or been nullified completely. So it's really up to us. In Rotary, what we're very, very good at is remaining in contact and remaining very close to our members. That's what sets us apart as an international organization. We're also known as caring, and our badge is renowned for that. So what I'd like to encourage you to do is not just stick close to your members, but stick very close to the Friends of Rotary, to your community groups that you've been working with for a long, long time, to your corporate and business sponsors, to government and town hall close to you. But also, if we can strengthen the way we communicate using technology as we have and accelerate that and become exemplars of that, then I believe, as does our leadership group this year and next, that we'll be given plenty of new opportunities to volunteer, to learn and grow, and to make friends. And one of the things that we'd like to challenge you on as a district is to actually make contact with those members who've left in recent times and just check in on them as well and see how they are. Talk to them like you're talking to a friend. And I'm going to bet that we'd get some of them back. We won't get all of them back. That's not the reason for the call, isn't to get them back, but it's to make sure that they are safe and they are strong and well during this time. So what opportunities can we find in the coming months of isolation and problems that exist? Well, let's talk about a few. Let's talk to you about a satellite club concept for each club, or at least one in a cluster group. So AGs, if you're listening, think about this. Why not start up a satellite club that recruits young people born in the 80s and 90s to give them their first board experience? We at Southbank are doing that, and we've had 2 Zoom meetings with a group of 7. There will be another 3 joining that group, so we'll end up with a group of 10. But the 2 meetings have really buoyed me and the leadership group of Southbank and our members, because this group, not only are they very articulate about what it is that they'd like to do, they have amazing CVs and amazing experiences that really will set up the future of Rotary. So when we invite them in to say, would you like to get your first board experience? And we will coach you. We will have a Rotary mentor and a business mentor for you. They've jumped at the opportunity. Fees aren't an issue, even though most of them are suffering with a lack of employment or underemployment. What they've seen is the value that they get in putting back, in making these new connections and friends, and the development that they would have with their careers. And the network that they are now joining is an international one. So I'd like to have you think about that. We're sending some more information out about the success of the potential of these satellite clubs. So let's see what we can do over the next 3-year period. Don't have to do it in the next 12 months, but let's look at doing these things over a 3-year period. Some clubs will be able to do it earlier, some will follow a bit later. What about the business people that we continue to transact with and we ask them to join Rotary? And for 100 years in Australia, they've been saying, I'm too busy with my business. Maybe the question isn't come and join Rotary. Maybe the question should be, would you care to join a networking group that meets once every 3 months for a business breakfast? And Rotary, the Rotary Club, puts on a speaker of a great reputation that can deliver a message about the future of business, about HR strategies, about Bitcoin technology, about industrial relations, about creativity, and where the world is going to in business. We're finding that when we talk to business people, they would rather join a quarterly business breakfast that they can network amongst themselves and hear from a great speaker, but also talk to the Rotary Club about doing something in their community, because what they want is a community that is resilient and stronger, and they believe that Rotary can help them. In return, we might ask them to consider a 3-year relationship with that club and make a contribution of around $250 a quarter. And in return, we give them a badge that says they are that club's social entrepreneur group, meeting once a quarter, sponsored by that club. And the club puts out a newsletter that reflects the work that's been done because of their sponsorship in that community. Just a 4-page newsletter that says on the front page, there's an image of many hands make light work. And in the middle pages, there's a story from the president and the group of members that have been working hard to bring about some of those projects that they have paid for. On page 3, there might be a story about the work in the pipeline that they've requested. And on the back cover, just a list of their names and the companies that they run. So it gives them some credibility and kudos in their customer base. And they can use that for their social entrepreneur promotion, if you like. So there's a story that I think we will see a lot more of as well in the coming months. Yesterday, I was talking to Neville Page, who's the incoming president for, I think, the 3rd time at North Melbourne. Neville had sent me a first day cover from the 50th anniversary of Rotary in Australia. And I had to ring him up and say, I'm a stamp collector, Neville, and I don't have one of those. What a great story. Why can't we pass that on to Hugh Bucknell and the team at Melbourne? And we started talking about how his club was going and what they were doing. And I asked him, what are you doing in Rotary the coming year? And he explained to me that he'd just become the chair of Moona. And he wanted to talk about how Moona could work on Zoom. Well, using technology, within 4 minutes, I think we had a team of 7 people helping him out to run Moona on Zoom, to get technology help, to get someone to be the general secretary who hadn't done that job for probably about 5 or 6 years, who was delighted to have been asked, and for us to get Julie Mason, Past District Governor Julie Mason, to also help because she's the principal of one of the schools in the Western Suburbs. So very quickly, you know, we've seen a situation that using technology and this isolation that we're in, by just being creative and introducing each other's skills to a cause, we've been able to get it going, and we look like doing that in the next 6 months online. What a great project that would be. This year, we've had to cancel our Interact conference, so Grant's team have handed to me an Interact conference that will take place when we will lift the isolation requirements that the government have put on us. So I'm looking forward to that, because Interact, if we can also look at starting Interact clubs, people want to talk, people want to connect, and particularly after this period of isolation, I think we'll find that there are a number of folks, young and old, that want to come once a week to a Rotary meeting to do good work in the world. And Interact's the start of that. What about a Rotaract club? Julie Mason, Past District Governor Julie, is going to undertake a program of introducing Rotaract clubs within each cluster group with the help of the AGs as well. Now, if we can do both of those, we're in touch with parents and teacher groups. And once their kids get to a stage where they've gone into Rotaract, what can they do after they've been taxi drivers? They might just consider joining Rotary. So that's our pipeline for the future. So what else could we do? If we stayed close to the community groups we work with, they too are hurting and suffering. Our friends in business, and if we can bring them closer to us. Rotary can be the place once a week that they join on a Zoom meeting as a friend of Rotary and see the work that's being done. See the camaraderie and the friendship, the genuine friendship that we have. And who knows, they might want to join us, particularly as we come out of isolation. So I'm seeing this as an opportunity for the future, particularly if clubs can rejuvenate all of their marketing assets and sharpen up your website during this time. Get rid of all the old logos. Make sure that your bulletins are absolutely on song and really nailing the story. Use this time to get house proud, to actually think about your club's signature project and get that curated, the story curated, the best photographs added to it. And let's put it on the mantelpiece of your clubhouse. So that when people come by and say, what's your club about? You can say, well, we're actually doing this remarkable project. In the 100th year of Rotary, how about we get that story into a coffee table book and celebrate the 100 years of Rotary, but more importantly, help build the resilience of our group in Australia and in this zone and across the world with your ideas and your stories. They're there. We just need to talk about it a lot more, genuinely talking about it and promoting the success of the past 100 years. I want to congratulate Hugh Bucknell and the leadership group of our 100. I think they've done a remarkable job over the last 9 years in building the story for the centenary of Rotary. I think the centenary of Rotary gives us an opportunity when we come out of this isolation period and during the troubles that we'll face in business to actually share the value of Rotary, the friendships, the connections, the learning that we offer, the opportunities we offer on an international stage. I'm not dreaming of this. I really want you to know that your leadership group at District are working on these projects, and your club's leadership groups, with the AG's help, will be working on it in cluster groups. So I'm seeing us as a force of good, a force that remains strong through this adversity, I should say, and come out of it the other end far stronger than we've gone into it. I can see clubs becoming hybrid clubs, not necessarily having a club venue to go to. Yes, you can go to the club venue, but for the last 15 years, we've been asking clubs to consider becoming a hybrid club where when your members are traveling, particularly in winter or for business, interstate or overseas, how can they join their friends once a week? Well, this experience has taught us that we can bring them in on Zoom and do a great job with it. So there's a lot of opportunities there. If we can prove to government, federal, state, and local, that we are connected and that we are genuine in our approach about strengthening the resilience of communities, we will find opportunities that we haven't been able to find before because of the new times that we're in. So I urge you to remain close, keep very, very close to the past Rotarians as well, to the Friends of Rotary, to your community partners, to businesses, large and small, and talk about your signature projects with a passion. I think we're the best volunteer organization in history, and I'm seriously believing that these opportunities out there will suit all of us as we will grow our friendship network and the opportunities that we have in Rotary. Kevin and Rotary Club of Melbourne, thank you so much for having me on your Zoom meeting today. It's been a great honor and an opportunity. And I can tell you that Grant Hocking and the team are working right up to the end, and most of them are staying on in different roles. And our team for 2021 is looking forward to being your servant leaders in the coming year to bring those opportunities to you. When we come out of this, we will have the opportunity to celebrate not just for coming out of the hibernation period, but the centenary of Rotary, and we might just have the best bash ever for a conference that's really down to earth, that brings the Victorian districts together as well. So there are a few things on the go, and I'm very pleased that a couple of my colleagues from the sister districts are online as well. We promised that we will deliver an opportunity for us all to let our hair down when this is finished. Now, I'm happy to finish on this note and take any questions. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Philip. Very informative and quite inspiring, I have to say. We have a couple of questions and more look like they're rolling in. The first comment is from Casey J, who has said to me, look, sorry, I'm just finding the text. Perhaps he doesn't want me to repeat it, so I'll go on to the first of the questions. This is from Graham Clark. It was announced on the news today that clothes sales are down 58% and beauty and related down 63%. Fuel sales are well down too. I love the thought of reaching out to those in need in our community, but a number of clubs have very little cash reserve to provide the breakfast and promote the idea. I wonder, Philip, if you might begin by commenting on or answering, giving your thoughts on that question.
I am reading the same information, and in fact, hearing from clients in my corporate, with my corporate hat on, that their sales are down 60, 80%. I know businesses that are gone to zero. So that's why I say that this problem is only going to become bigger. And that's why we need to stay close to our Rotarians and our friends in Rotary, because people will be hurting, and we won't be able to solve all of the problems, just like the government can't solve all of the problems as well. But you know, when you do something special and you extend the hand of friendship, you feel good about yourself. I've got a daughter in New York and a daughter in London, and I talk to them probably once a day using Zoom. And both of them are in a world of pain because their company fortunes have gone south. And I've said to them both, if you stayed positive, understanding realistically with your feet on the ground what the issues are, but doing your very best, you will come out of this far better than if you started to become a pessimist and someone without a solution. So if you look at it, I think we've got to look firmly at having our feet on the ground and being realistic. We have some benefit for our members in that the meeting costs, which tend to be around 75 to 80% of our member expense for Rotary, have gone to zero as well. We will, as a group, look after each other the very best way we can. So I'm asking the clubs to consider, you know, doing something about their fees as well. There are some clubs that still charge members an annual fee. Why not look at charging them twice annually or going to a monthly fee as well? Because if they find the benefit in still belonging to Rotary and being connected because of the friendships and because of putting back and because they're still learning, particularly in these new times, the new opportunities and making a contribution, I think we somehow or the other have to support each other and come through it. The answers will emerge. Every day is going to change the approach that we take. So we've just got to be upbeat and have our feet on the ground and seize the opportunities that come up daily. There's going to be a lot of hurt. There's no doubt about it. I'm in recruitment and HR, and I'm seeing big successful companies, and you're seeing it in the press, you know, lose a lot of people considering shutting down the entire business for a period of time. That's a lot of people for the government to look after. So I think we can't offer them financial support in dollars like a government can, but we can support them with friendship and with camaraderie and being there for them through these tough times. That's the best we can do. That's going to be a great elixir, a great tonic for people around us.
Thank you, Phil. Sorry, the next question is actually from David Cram, our club's maestro, who has a
David.
For Philip Endersby. Thank you, Philip, for those inspiring words. Could there be a Rotary membership fund to enable young people by rigorous selection to join a struggling club for a year with no membership or dining fees?
We're doing a lot of work in this regard, particularly for the satellite club concept that I've announced. And one of our banks has shown an interest, and it's before their board. I think that's a worthwhile opportunity, but I've got to say to you, when we've spoken to our group at Southbank of those millennials, they haven't brought up a problem, the fact that the fee is going to be a problem. So what I'm suggesting is that there will be certainly an opportunity for us to look at some sponsorship dollars from government or large businesses who want to see young people, millennials, succeed and still get the opportunities. So we are working on that, and some of you who've got some ideas on that, I'd love you to come and talk to us. Give me a call and let's see what we can do. If we're starting a satellite club with just 8 millennials, we surely have enough contacts within Rotary to get that kind of sponsorship for the next 6 months at least, or 12 months. So stay tuned on that. That's a very good idea. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Philip. The next question is from Michael Donnelly, and he asks, is there any reconsideration of the plans for the 2021 district conference on either public health or environmental or social inequality grounds?
Michael, firstly, thank you for being here. It's very nice of you to join us. Yes, we have done so much work on the conference. We were going to launch a cruise conference of all things. The writing was on the wall very early this year, and we cancelled that idea very quickly in early February. Now we're working on a very simple conference solution. Should the federal and state governments allow us to meet en masse sometime in February through to June, we will run a conference for people at the Melbourne Showgrounds for 3 of the districts in Victoria, and the other 2 districts will be joining us as well. We think that the conference ticket price will be something that reflects the times we're in, and I've got to say to you that the state government, the City of Melbourne and the Royal Melbourne Showgrounds are being amazing with their support. We've also, I can't tell you when we last got $120,000 worth of sponsorship from corporates, but there's $120,000 worth of sponsorship there from 5 corporates, and we haven't started the sponsorship drive through the smaller sponsors. So yes, the idea would be to bring everyone together to have a really inspiring hands-on conference, but have a marketplace that also has all of our clubs bring their signature projects in to share ideas so that others can learn from them, and some of our community groups as well. So we will put something out on that as soon as some new work has been finished on the brand for that conference, branding for the conference. We're keeping our eyes and ears open for information from the government on whether we can hold something of a large enough scale. And the only thing that will rule it is if the government says, no, you can't meet. And then I'm sure my colleague Dale Hoy and his colleagues in the other districts will do something equally inspiring to bring us all back out together to celebrate. It's very much like after a drought, when the first rains come, you can see people skipping in the streets. That's the type of image I'd like to leave you with. Thank you for asking.
Okay, I just had one more question for Philip Endersby. as a representative of that struggling manufacturing and, or previously struggling manufacturing and apparel making industry. Phil, do you see opportunities for innovative firms like yours in this environment as we come out?
Well, I do. And, you know, we're running 50 knitting machines out there, or 49 knitting machines out there in Preston. And I must admit, I'm a stubborn old bastard at the best of times. But I've got the full crew working there as we speak. Our current forecast is that we'll probably come in at about 60% of our normal April turnover. So next week we'll be on a 4-day week, but I've said to everyone, we will keep all staff on. We'll keep going at 4 days a week. We'll review it again at the end of April. If we can keep going at 4 days a week, I'll be happy, but I don't want to lay anyone off. I've got our sales guys who are struggling a bit there because retailers are closing. So I've got them still on, but just bringing them in on a as needs basis. But I've basically said to them, Zoom's going to be the way. We'll keep in contact with all of our sales guys around the countryside and make sure everything's happening. And looking at those sort of opportunities in the last 10 days, I think I made about 15 different varieties of face masks for the Bays Hospital down here at Mornington. And I've also asked them about doing scrubs, which are the uniform that people will wear under their surgery gowns, etc. And I've spoken to our supply guys. We've probably got access to about 12,000 metres of fabric if we want to go down that track. So what's holding us at the moment is our industrial side, because as you know, the building trade construction's still going, the mining guys are still going, and the people in the freezer works, the abattoirs, and those people are still going. And we sell into that trade with you know, good thermals and socks, etc. So that's holding us together. And I've just got my fingers crossed. But as we go into winter, and this is a flu pandemic, and there'll be other flus that, as much as people need their food, hopefully they'll need their warm underwear. So I've kept, I guess, a positive mind to it all. But I've said to the staff that it's going to be lean pickings, I think, for us probably through till March of next year. Having said that, you know, in the last month, we've got a great order out of Hong Kong going into the outdoor trade. And at the same time, we've got a great order out of Japan going into the outdoor trade. So, you know, hopefully, and you'll probably notice, see people like Kathmandu, they've just cancelled or closed down every one of their retail outlets. So our outdoor retail domestically is very tough. But on the industrial side, hopefully that holds. So, and what more can we do in the medical trade? Well, I've said to the guys, we can do anything they like. So give us a go. We'll make bed sheets if we have to.
Philip, you're going to need to get more machines, because those Rotary socks will sell like hotcakes when we start coming out the other end.
Yeah.
I'm very sure of that. Now, KCJ just made a comment online saying that there are plenty of young future leaders there, or young leaders there, who would love to join a network of our size globally to do good work. That's absolutely right. And what we're doing with the Satellite Club is, in the first year, we're encouraging them to do a local community project And in the second year, we're looking at them doing an international project with the help of the Rotary Foundation. So thank you for asking or making that comment, because it brings me to the Rotary Foundation. We really need to, through all of this tough time, do as much as we can to support that by utilizing the foundation grants and doing good across borders and in Australia. So please consider that at the club level, because the grants are still out there to be had, and we can do work across borders and within Australia using the funds that are available there. So please consider supporting the Rotary Foundation through this period as well.
Thanks very much, Philip. Unfortunately, we're pretty much out of time for further questions. Thank you everyone for your questions, and thank you very much to Philip and Philip for their presentations and great answers. I'm going to pass back now to President Kevin for some final remarks.
Well, today we've had the daily double, the two Philips, and a wonderful contribution to our meeting. Thank you very much, guys, for your time and your expertise. Certainly, Philip Archer, you've enunciated the Rotary opportunities that are tools for us as we come out of this period of isolation. And yes, the world will be different. Our challenge is to make it better. And you can be assured that President-elect Marion and our Director of Membership, Amanda, have many of those things already on their agenda, and I'm sure today food for more thought. So thank you very much to both Philips, and certainly our past President and Captain of Groups, Philip Endersby, and his group captains. The work still continues, so we'll be looking forward to that effort being rolled out as we would like it to be, and look after our members. The closing of the meeting, there are a couple of notices, and today we have the 49th anniversary of membership for David Jones, and I understand David is online. Yes, some applause. He's coming up to the half century very quickly. He might have donated his 50-year MCC tie to the museum, but he's still a stalwart. Jeremy Oates, 24 years, and Jenny Trang, 6 years. You heard today a mention of our fighting fund, and that has been launched. So anyone who would like to go online today on our try booking site, the details were all circulated during the week. You can actually make a contribution to our fighting fund. There's a bit of fun when you actually press the try booking link, so enjoy it, and don't all necessarily, even though I'm a Collingwood supporter, don't all necessarily pick the cheapest option, the Collingwood Chinese lunch. Go for the full hog, but have a bit of fun with it, and we would like to think that fighting fund grows each week. Also we have a reminder that the member directory call of Marion McLeod, our President-elect, last week, she spoke of it, and certainly we want members to have a look at what their entry is and update it. And if you need any assistance in doing that, contact Joe, just let Joe know in the Rotary office with an email. The important notice is that on the 29th of April, that's a couple of weeks' time, we have the 50th Angus Mitchell Oration, the first online Angus Mitchell Oration. And our guest orator is Professor Hugh Taylor, AC, the Harold Mitchell Professor of Indigenous Eye Health at the University of Melbourne. Hugh, as we all know, is an honorary member of Rotary Melbourne, and we're delighted to have him addressing us on that occasion, how to fix a leaky pipe, providing equity in eye health. And a flyer is being circulated, so you'll be able to join us on Zoom on the 29th. Next week, our speaker is Professor Rodney Sinclair, specialist dermatologist, speaking on a different hidden threat, Healthy, Wealthy and Wise, how computer imaging and artificial intelligence are revolutionising skin cancer detection. And I thank David Fries for introducing Professor Rodney to us. So that's next week and the following week. And in the meantime, as I close the meeting, and thank you all for attending, particularly our visitors that have joined us today. That's all for now, but do stay safe, spread kindness, and you're welcome to join us next week. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you.